Mississippi, sparing no effort to save lives. While the hurricane was fierce, one of the strongest to make landfall in 150 years, the casualties and damage were far less than thought possible only 24 hours ago. And this is due to the great work of FEMA, law enforcement, and the individual states. I will be going this weekend. And congratulations. Thank you for that great job out there. We really appreciate it. We are one national family, and we will always protect, love, and care for each other. Here tonight are the people who have made my journey possible and filled my life with so much joy. For her incredible service to our nation and its children, I want to thank our magnificent First Lady. Thank you. Be possible. I also want to thank my amazing daughter, Ivanka, for that introduction, and to all of my children. Ivanka, please stand up. Thank you. And to all of my children and grandchildren, I love you more than words can express. I know my brother Robert is looking down on us right now from heaven. He was a great brother and was very proud of the job we are all doing. Thank you. We love you, Robert. Let us also take a moment to show our profound appreciation for a man who has always fought by our side and stood up for our values, a man of deep faith and steadfast conviction, our Vice President Mike Pence. And Mike is joined by his beloved wife, a teacher, and military mom, Karen Pence. Thank you, Karen. My fellow Americans, tonight, with a heart full of gratitude and boundless optimism, I profoundly accept this nomination for President of the United States. The Republican Party, the party of Abraham Lincoln, goes forward united, determined, and ready to welcome millions of Democrats, independents, and anyone who believes in the greatness of America and the righteous heart of the American people. In a new term as president, we will again build the greatest economy in history, quickly returning to full employment, soaring incomes, and record prosperity. We will defend America against all threats and protect America against all dangers. We will lead America into new frontiers of ambition and discovery, and we will reach for new heights of national achievement. We will rekindle new faith in our values, new pride in our history, and a new spirit of unity that can only be realized through love for our great country. because we understand that America is not a land cloaked in darkness. America is the torch that enlightens the entire world. Gathered here at our beautiful and majestic White House, known all over the world as the People's House, we cannot help but marvel at the miracle that is our great American story.
Oh, shit. Sorry,
this
guys.
has been the home of larger-than-life figures like Teddy Roosevelt and Andrew Jackson, who rallied Americans to bold visions of a bigger and brighter future.
Hey, Dylan,
Within
I'll be
these
right back,
walls
man.
lived tenacious generals like President Grant and Eisenhower, who led our soldiers in the cause of freedom. From these grounds, Thomas Jefferson sent Lewis and Clark on a daring expedition to cross a wild and uncharted continent. In the depths of a bloody civil war, President Abraham Lincoln looked out these very windows upon a half-completed Washington Monument and asked God in his providence to save our nation. 2 weeks after Pearl Harbor, Franklin Delano Roosevelt welcomed Winston Churchill, and just inside, they set our people on a course to victory in the Second World War. In recent months, our nation and the entire planet has been struck by a new and powerful invisible enemy. Like those brave Americans before us, we are meeting this challenge. We are delivering life-saving therapies and will produce a vaccine before the end of the year, or maybe even sooner. We will defeat the virus, end the pandemic, and emerge stronger than ever before. What united generations past was an unshakable confidence in America's destiny and an unbreakable faith in the American people. They knew that our country is blessed by God.
Hey guys, I'll be right back in here, okay? I'm streaming. I'll be right back.
It is that conviction that inspired the formation of our union, our westward expansion, the abolition of slavery, the passage of civil rights, the space program, and the overthrow of fascism, tyranny, and communism. This towering American spirit has prevailed over every challenge and lifted us to the summit of human endeavor. And yet, despite all of our greatness as a nation, everything we have achieved is now in danger. This is the most important election in the history of our country. Thank you. At no time before have voters faced a clearer choice between two parties, two visions, two philosophies, or two agendas. This election will decide whether we save the American dream or whether we allow a socialist agenda to demolish our cherished destiny. It will decide whether we rapidly create millions of high-paying jobs or whether we crush our industries and send millions of these jobs overseas.
I love how he says industries.
As has foolishly been done for many decades. Your vote will decide whether we protect law-abiding Americans or whether we give free rein to violent anarchists and agitators and criminals who threaten our citizens. And this election will decide whether we will defend the American way of life or whether we will allow a radical movement to completely dismantle and destroy it. That won't happen. At the Democrat National Convention, Joe Biden and his party repeatedly assailed America as a land of racial, economic, and social injustice. So tonight I ask you a simple question. How can the Democrat Party ask to lead our country when it spends so much time tearing down our country and destroying?
Woo! Yeah.
In the left's backward view, they do not see America as the most free, just, and exceptional nation on earth. Instead, they see a wicked nation that must be punished for its sins. Our opponents say that redemption for you can only come from giving power to them. This is a tired anthem spoken by every repressive movement throughout history. But in this country, we don't look to career politicians for salvation. In America, we don't turn to government to restore our souls. We put our faith in Almighty God. Joe Biden is not a savior of America's soul. He is the destroyer of America's jobs. And if given the chance, he will be the destroyer of American greatness.
Yes.
For 47 years, Joe Biden took the donations of blue-collar workers, gave them hugs and even kisses. And told them he felt their pain.
Jobs.
And then he flew back to Washington and voted to ship our jobs to China and many other distant lands. Joe Biden spent his entire career outsourcing their dreams and the dreams of American workers, offshoring their jobs, opening their borders, and sending their sons and daughters to fight in endless foreign wars that never ended. 4 years ago, I ran for president because I could not watch this betrayal
video.
of our country any longer.
Yeah, I'm streaming.
Hey,
I'm streaming
not
Trump's
sit
speech.
by
We're talking over it.
okay.
as career politicians let other countries take advantage of us
Like
on
your brother,
trade,
just won't
borders,
shut up and let anybody speak.
foreign policy,
Listen,
and national
the
defense.
thing I wanted to say was I was
Our
trying to say it
NATO
was the law.
partners, as
The
an
reason why I was trying to
example,
say it was the law is because, and the reason why they have that
Right
law
in
for
there.
cops is so then
payments.
they're not picking up cop bodies all the time.
But
see
Because if they
prosperity
didn't
and
have the
liberty
law,
and
What the
things
fuck?
we
whenever
deserve,
you
or
cop
if you're a
tells you to put your
Democrat,
hands
everywhere
up,
you look, you see
and you
something
put
you
your
want to
hands
tear
in
down and
your
remake it.
pants. If a cop can't shoot you, then
payments.
we have a bunch of dead cops. That's the way the law reads. If the
Rooster.
cops can shoot you.
And this
Hey, Rooster, buddy, hold on.
$130
Hey,
billion
I'll talk to you in a minute.
will ultimately go to $400 billion a year. And Secretary General Stoltenberg, who heads NATO, was amazed after watching for so many years and said that President Trump did what no one else was able to do. Thank you. From the moment I left my former life behind, and it was a good life, I have done nothing but fight for you. I did what our political establishment never expected and could
Fucking
never
A.
forgive, breaking the cardinal rule of Washington politics. I kept my promise.
Oh, yeah. I'll agree.
Together, we have ended the rule of the failed political class, and they are desperate to get their power back by any means necessary. You've seen that. They are angry at me because instead of putting them first, I very simply said, America first. Thank you. Days after taking office, we shocked the Washington establishment and withdrew from the last administration's job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership. I then immediately approved the Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipelines.
Get off me. Cat is raping my balls right now.
Ended the unfair and very costly Paris Climate Accord. And secured for the first time American energy independence. We passed record-setting tax and regulation cuts at a rate nobody had ever seen before. Within 3 short years, we built the strongest economy in the history of the world. Washington insiders asked me not to stand up to China. They pleaded with me to let China continue stealing our jobs, ripping us off, and robbing our country blind. But I kept my word to the American people. We took the toughest, boldest, strongest, and hardest hitting action against China in American history by far. They said that it would be impossible to terminate and replace NAFTA. But again, they were wrong. Earlier this year, I ended the NAFTA nightmare and signed the brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement into law. And right now, auto companies and others are building their plants and factories in America, not firing their employees and not deserting us for other countries. In perhaps no area did the Washington special interests try harder to stop us than on my policy of pro-American immigration. But I refuse to back down, and today America's borders are more secure than ever before. Thank you. We ended catch and release, stopped asylum fraud, took down human traffickers who prey on women and children, and we have deported 20,000 gang members and 500,000 criminal aliens. We have already built 300 miles of border wall, and we are adding 10 new miles every single week. The wall will soon be complete, and it is working beyond our wildest expectations. We are joined this evening by members of the Border Patrol Union, representing our country's courageous border agents. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Brave, brave people.
Hey, thanks everybody for.
You see, this country loves
He's not done.
our law enforcement. They do. They do.
I love law
They
enforcement.
really do. Love
can
and
you not?
respect.
They are human beings
When
that
I
put
learned that
themselves
the Tennessee
on
Valley
the line
Authority
every day
laid off
for us
hundreds
all.
of American workers and forced them to train their lower-paid foreign replacement, I promptly removed the chairman of the board, and now those talented American workers have been rehired and are back providing power to Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, North Carolina, and Virginia. They have their old jobs back, and some are here with us this evening. Please stand. You went through a lot. Please stand. Thank you. Thank you very much. You've been through a lot. Thank you very much. Last month, I took on Big Pharma. You think that's easy? It's not. And signed orders that will massively lower the cost of your prescription drugs and give critically ill patients access to life-saving cures. We passed the decades-long-awaited right to try. We also passed VA accountability and VA choice. Our great veterans, we're taking care of our veterans. 91% approval rating this month, the VA, given by our veterans. First time anything like that's ever happened. By the end of my first term, we will have approved more than 300 federal judges, including 2 great new Supreme Court justices. And to bring prosperity to our forgotten inner cities, we worked hard to pass historic criminal justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones, and long-term funding of historically black colleges and universities. And before the China virus came in, produced the best unemployment numbers for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans ever recorded. And I say very modestly that I have done more for the African American community than any president since Abraham Lincoln, our first Republican president. And I have done more in 3 years for the black community than Joe Biden has done in 47 years. And when I'm reelected, the best is yet to come.
Trump's gonna be reelected. Like, the fact that you can see the media like backing off the riots now, it's like they know they're fucked. They fucked themselves. They were fucked anyway. They double fucked themselves. 4 more years. 4 more years. Definitely. I mean, what's the choice here?
Thank you very much. When I took office, the Middle East was in total chaos. ISIS was rampaging, Iran was on the rise, and the war in Afghanistan had no end in sight. I withdrew from the terrible one-sided Iran nuclear deal. Unlike many presidents before me, I kept my promise, recognized Israel's true capital, and moved our embassy to Jerusalem. But not only did we talk about it as a future site, we got it built. Rather than spending $1 billion on a new building as planned, we took an already owned existing building in a better location. Real estate deal, right? And opened it at a cost of less than $500,000. Many things like that government is doing right now. We also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. And this month we achieved the first Middle East peace deal in 25 years. Thank you to UAE. Thank you to Israel. In addition, we obliterated 100% of the ISIS caliphate and killed its founder and leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Then in a separate operation, we eliminated the world's #1 terrorist by far, Qasem Soleimani. Unlike previous administrations, I have kept America out of new wars, and our troops are coming home. We have spent nearly $2.5 trillion on completely rebuilding our military, which was very badly depleted when I took office, as you know. This includes 3 separate pay raises for our great warriors. We also launched the Space Force, the first new branch of the United States military since the Air Force was created almost 75 years ago. We have spent the last 4 years reversing the damage Joe Biden inflicted over the last 47 years. Biden's record is a shameful roll call of the most catastrophic betrayals and blunders
Hey, welcome
in our
everybody, by the way,
lifetime.
on YouTube.
He has spent his
Come to
entire
our Discord,
career on
join
the
us.
wrong side of
I'll put the
history.
link in chat.
Biden voted for the NAFTA disaster, the single worst trade deal ever enacted. He supported China's entry into the World Trade Organization, one of the greatest economic disasters of all time. After those Biden calamities, the United States lost 1 in 4 manufacturing jobs. We laid off workers in Michigan, Ohio, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and many other states. They didn't want to hear Biden's hollow words of empathy. They wanted their jobs back. As vice president, he supported the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a death sentence for the U.S. auto industry. He backed the horrendous South Korea trade deal, which took many jobs from our country and which I've reversed and made a great deal for our country. He repeatedly supported mass amnesty for illegal immigrants. He voted for the Iraq War. He opposed the mission to take out Osama bin Laden. He opposed killing Soleimani. He oversaw the rise of ISIS and cheered the rise of China as a positive development for America and the world, some positive development. That's why China supports Joe Biden and desperately wants him to win. I can tell you that upon very good information. China would own our country if Joe Biden got elected.
Oh man, he is triggering the shit out of the
Unlike
media right
Biden,
now.
I will hold
I'm not
them
watching any media,
fully
guys. Just so you know,
accountable
tonight I'm
for
done.
the tragedy that
I'm
they
done for the
caused
night.
all
I'm
over
not
the
turning
world.
it
They
on.
caused. In recent months, our nation and the world has been hit by the once-in-a-century pandemic that China allowed to spread around the globe. They could have stopped it, but they allowed it to come out. We are grateful to be joined tonight by several of our incredible nurses and first responders. Please stand and accept our profound thanks and gratitude. Many Americans, including me, have sadly lost friends and cherished loved ones to this horrible disease. As one nation, we mourn, we grieve, and we hold in our hearts forever the memories of all of those lives that have been so tragically taken, so unnecessary. In their honor, we will unite. In their memory, we will overcome. And when the China virus hit, we launched the largest national mobilization since World War II. Invoking the Defense Production Act, we produced the world's largest supply of ventilators. Not a single American who has needed a ventilator has been denied a ventilator, which is a miracle.
Hey, he's got that right. I mean,
good job heading the task force by our great Vice President. Thank you very much, Mark. Please stand up.
I want to go.
We shipped hundreds of millions of masks, gloves, and gowns to our frontline healthcare workers.
Sorry,
To
guys.
protect our
I've
nation's
been asked
seniors, we
this
rush supplies,
like 6
testing
a.m.
kits,
this morning.
and personal
God,
to
being the
nursing
stay-at-home dad
homes.
is
We
not
gave
easy.
everything you can possibly give, and we're still giving it because we're taking care
It's not
of
easy
our
with two
senior
kids,
citizens.
and my dumb ass is bringing a third kid in the world.
The Army Corps of Engineers built field hospitals, and the Navy deployed our great hospital ships. We developed from scratch the largest and most advanced testing system anywhere in the world. America has tested more than every country in Europe put together and more than every nation in the Western Hemisphere combined. Think of that.
Man, it's almost 11.
We have conducted 40 million more tests
usually in bed.
than the next closest nation, which is India. We developed a wide array of effective treatments, including a powerful antibody treatment known as convalescent plasma. You saw that on Sunday night when we announced it. That will save thousands and thousands of lives. Thanks to advances,
We need to get together
we have
sometime,
pioneered
somehow,
the
and have a
fatality
couple
rate,
weekend
and
where
you look
we,
at it and you look at the numbers, it has been reduced by 80% since April. 80%.
I figure everybody could hear me. Talking to Robert
The
Noor.
United States has among the lowest case fatality rates of any major country anywhere in the world. The European Union's case fatality rate is nearly 3 times higher than ours, but you don't hear that. They don't write about that. They don't want to write about that. They don't want you to know those things. Altogether, the nations of Europe have experienced a 30% greater increase in excess mortality than the United States. Think of that. We enacted the largest package of financial relief in American history. Thanks to our Paycheck Protection Program, we have saved or supported more than 50 million American jobs. That's one of the reasons that we're advancing so rapidly with our economy. Great job. As a result,
I'm so
we have
tired.
seen the smallest economic
I
contraction
ate
of
dinner
any
tonight
major
either.
Western nation. And we are recovering at a much faster rate than anybody. Over the past 3 months, we have gained over 9 million jobs, and that's a record in the history of our country. Unfortunately, from the beginning, our opponents have shown themselves capable of nothing but a partisan ability to criticize. When I took bold action to issue a travel ban on China very early indeed, Joe Biden called it hysterical and xenophobic. And then I introduced a ban on Europe very early again. If we had listened to Joe, hundreds of thousands more Americans would have died.
Thanks,
Instead
guys.
of following the science, Joe Biden wants to inflict a painful shutdown on the entire country. His shutdown would inflict unthinkable and lasting harm on our nation's children, families, and citizens of all backgrounds.
Brian says yes,
The
4
cost
kids.
of the Biden shutdown would be
man.
measured in
It's
increased
crazy.
drug overdoses, depression, alcohol addiction, suicides, heart attacks, economic devastation, job loss, and much more. Joe Biden's plan is not a solution to the virus, but rather it's a surrender to the virus. My administration has a very different approach. To save as many lives as possible, we are focusing on the science, the facts, and the data. We are aggressively sheltering those at highest risk, especially the elderly, while allowing lower-risk Americans to safely return to
He's getting
work
like
and to
so
school.
loose. He's like,
And we want to see so many of those
we want to
great
see this. We're gonna fix
states
it. We're all
be
good.
open
He's
by
like,
Democrats.
he's like cupping
We
his
want them to
hand
be
around
open. They have to
around
be
the
open.
podium there.
They have to
like,
get back to
like
work.
Biden might. Not like Biden, but I don't know.
They have to
It's
get
just
back
funny.
to work.
The way he
and they
started
have to
talking
get
there.
back to school. Most importantly, we are marshaling America's scientific genius to produce a vaccine in record time.
Right
Under
back, guys.
Operation Warp Speed, we have 3 different vaccines in the final stage of trials. Right now, years ahead of what has been achieved before. Nobody thought it could ever be done this fast. Normally, it would be years, and we did it in a matter of a few months. We're producing them in advance so that hundreds of millions of doses will be quickly available. We will have a safe and effective vaccine this year, and together we will crush the virus. At the Democrat convention, you barely heard a word about their agenda. But that's not because they don't have one. It's because their agenda is the most extreme set of proposals ever put forward by a major party nominee. Joe Biden may claim he is an ally of the light, but when it comes to his agenda, Biden wants to keep us completely in the dark. He doesn't have a clue. He has pledged a $4 trillion tax hike on almost all American families, which will totally collapse our rapidly improving economy. And once again, record stock markets that we have right now will also collapse. That means your 401ks, that means all of the stocks that you have. On the other hand, just as I did in my first term, I will cut taxes even further for hardworking moms and dads. I will not raise taxes. I will cut them, and very substantially. And we will also provide tax credits to bring jobs out of China back to America, and we will impose tariffs on any company that leaves America to produce jobs overseas. We will make sure our companies and jobs stay in our country, as I've already been doing for quite some time, if you've noticed. Joe Biden's agenda is made in China. My agenda is made in the USA.
I'm not even gonna drink this. I don't know why I'm opening it. I'm gonna drink like 5 sips and be done, but.
Biden has promised to abolish the
I'm not even
production
gonna
of
drink it.
American oil, coal,
I'm gonna pass out as soon as
shale,
this is done.
and natural gas, laying waste to the economies of Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Colorado, and New Mexico, destroying those states, absolutely destroying those states and others. Millions of jobs will be lost, and energy prices will soar. These same policies led to crippling power outages in California just last week. Everybody saw that. Tremendous power outage. Nobody's seen anything like it, but we saw that last week in California. How can Joe Biden claim to be an ally of the light when his own party can't even keep the lights on?
Oh man, I'm so tired.
Joe Biden's
This needs to
campaign
end.
has even published a 110-page policy platform. You can't get away from this. Co-authored with far-left Senator Crazy Bernie Sanders. The
Let's
Biden-Bernie
just read,
manifesto
folks.
calls
Not a
for
big deal.
suspending all removals of illegal aliens, implementing
I've been
nationwide catch and
Smoking on and
release,
off since I was in
and
my late
providing
20s.
illegal aliens with free taxpayer-funded lawyers. Everybody gets a lawyer. Come on over to our country. Everybody has a lawyer. We have a lawyer for you. That's what we need is more lawyers. Joe Biden recently raised his hand on the debate stage and promised to your giveaway he was going to give it away,
Oh man.
your health care dollars to illegal immigrants, which is going to bring massive number
Dylan.
of
I feel bad
immigrants
for Dylan.
into
He's in
our
the
country.
channel, in
Massive
the voice
numbers
channel,
will
and
pour
I
into
meant
our
to be in
country
there
in order
to
to get
hang out with
all
him,
of the
but
goodies
I've
that
been
they
doing
wanna
this the whole
give,
time.
education,
Sorry,
health
Dylan.
care, everything. He also supports deadly sanctuary cities that protect criminal aliens. He promised to end national security travel bans from jihadist nations, and he pledged to increase refugee admissions by 700%. This is in the manifesto. The Biden plan would eliminate America's borders in the middle of a global pandemic, and he's even talking about taking the wall down. How about that? Biden also vowed to oppose school choice and close all charter schools, ripping away the ladder of opportunity for Black and Hispanic children. In a second term, I will expand charter schools and provide school choice to every family in America. And we will always treat our teachers with the tremendous respect that they deserve.
I don't know what we're applauding, really. to be
Great,
honest.
great people. Joe Biden claims he has empathy for the vulnerable, yet the party he leads supports the extreme late-term abortion of defenseless babies right
Yep,
up until
pretty
the moment
pretty
of birth.
weird.
Democrat leaders talk about moral decency, but they have no problem with stopping a baby's beating heart in the 9th month of pregnancy. Democrat politicians
Did Burks
refuse to
pass
protect
out?
innocent
oh,
life,
he's awake.
and
Never
then they
mind.
lecture us about morality and
I
saving
thought I was going to
America's
pass out.
soul.
I thought Burks was going to beat me.
Tonight, we proudly declare that all children, born and unborn,
Who should we get?
have a
Shot millionaire
God-given
there,
right
Steve,
to life.
Burks is one of my favorite people. I'm about to make him honorary. What's our top tier patriot?
During the Democrat convention, the
He's just been
words
very
"under
active, and I
God"
like what he has to say.
were removed from the Pledge of Allegiance. Not once, but twice. We will never do that. But the fact is, this is where they're coming from. Like it or not, this is where they're coming from. If the left gains power, they will demolish the suburbs,
Yeah, it's
confiscate
gonna
your
come,
guns,
guys.
and appoint justices
Guys,
who will wipe
if-
away your Second Amendment
That's
and
gonna
other
hap-
constitutional freedoms.
Guess what?
Biden is a Trojan horse.
That's more
to
likely
socialism.
if Trump
If Joe
wins.
Biden doesn't have
So-
the strength
Start forming
stand up to
strategies with your neighborhoods
wild-eyed
right now.
Marxists
Honestly,
like Bernie Sanders
Start
and his
doing it.
fellow radicals,
I know
and
that
there are
sounds crazy,
many,
but do it on
there are
Facebook.
many. We see them all
Start
the
groups.
time. It's incredible, actually. Then how is he ever going to
Your
stand
neighborhood's
up?
probably like my neighborhood,
you.
very
He's not.
multiracial,
The
and we
most
do not want
dangerous
any of these
aspect
insane
of
people
the
in our
Biden
neighborhood.
platform is the attack on public safety. The Biden-Bernie manifesto calls for abolishing
Burks is
cash
pretty
bail,
chill. I like him. That's why I like him.
immediately releasing
I like anybody who's chill.
400,000 criminals onto the streets and
Because that's
into
the
your
way I try to
neighborhoods.
roll.
When asked if he supports cutting police funding, Joe Biden replied, yes, absolutely.
His life is too short, guys.
When
to-
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar
You're just going to
called
shorten
the
it by getting too.
Minneapolis Police Department a cancer that is
I don't want to
rotten
talk over
the
this,
root.
but you see where I'm getting
Biden
at.
wouldn't disavow her support and reject her endorsement. He proudly displayed it shortly later on his website. Displayed it in big letters. Make no mistake, if you give power to Joe Biden, the radical left will defund police departments all across America. They will pass federal legislation to reduce law enforcement nationwide. They will make every city look like Democrat-run Portland, Oregon. No one will be safe in Biden's America. My administration will always stand with the men and women of law enforcement. Every day, police officers risk their lives to keep us safe.
Oh
And
no!
every year, many
Hannibal
sacrifice their
Barca.
lives
Bro,
in the
I
line
really
of
thought-
duty. One of these incredible Americans was
I don't want to talk
Detective
over Trump here, but I'm
Miostas
not saying it's gonna be the
Familia.
apocalypse.
She was part of a
necessarily.
team of
It's not
American
gonna be the
heroes
apocalypse.
called the NYPD, or New York's finest, who I was very,
I'm
very
gonna turn this down, guys. I'm sorry. This isn't that exciting anyway. Hannibal Barca said, Drone Tech, bro, it's really isn't that bad. Democrats winning isn't going to be the apocalypse. Well, no shit. It's not going to be the apocalypse, but let me tell you what Democrats winning will be. Democrats winning will be that all the media, like literally overnight, like mark on the day that they declared Biden the winner, that day the media will change its tune that day, overnight. And suddenly it'll be very rosy, very, suddenly all that stress that they were giving people will stop. See, that's the whole point. Anytime there's a Republican president, the media berates the public for 4 or 8 years. And they berate them and they berate them and they want them to feel pain. And then when a Democrat gets in, it's just, it's like a relief. Oh, it stops. Oh, it's done. Oh, we feel so much better now. We're just going to vote Democrat now because, it feels so much better. So, guys, that's what that's all about. Like, it's just like a torture technique almost. So that's what we're dealing with. I'll turn this back up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I promise you that we will treasure your mom in our memories forever. We must remember that the overwhelming majority of police officers in this country, and that's the overwhelming majority, are noble, courageous, and honorable. We have to give law enforcement, our police, back their power. They are afraid to act. They are afraid to lose their pension. They are afraid to lose their jobs. And
they're
by
afraid
being
to lose their
afraid,
lives.
they are not able to do the job that they so desperately want to do.
Right,
for
they
you.
do this job and they want to.
And those who suffer most are the great people who they protect and who they want to protect.
I like Trump,
at an
guys,
even
but I
higher
feel like
level.
there's more.
When
There's
there
better
is
ways he could talk about this
Police
stuff.
misconduct, the justice system must hold wrongdoers
Not
fully
a band
and
account.
completely
Why do
accountable,
Democrats hate
and
and
it
want
will.
the end of suburbs?
But when we can never
Thanks, buddy.
have a situation
I'll talk about that in a minute.
where things are going on as they are today, we must never allow mob rule. We can never allow mob rule. In the strongest possible terms, the Republican Party condemns the rioting, looting, arson, and violence we have seen in Democrat-run cities all. Like
Yeah,
Kenosha,
Democrat-run cities. All
Minneapolis,
right, guys.
Portland, Chicago, and New York, and many others, Democrat-run.
I'm
There
sure
is
you'd wrap
violence
this up.
and
I want to talk
danger in the
about some
streets
stuff.
of many Democrat-run cities throughout America.
Dylan Burns, don't go
This
anywhere.
problem could easily be fixed if
Dylan
they
Burns.
wanted to. Just call. We're ready to
Didn't
go
understand
in.
it. You
Hey,
won't
Dylan
be
Burns,
careful.
don't go anywhere. I want to talk
It's
to you.
not
I'll be right back.
hours. Just call. We have to wait for the call. It's too bad we have to, but we have to wait for the call. we must always have law
Man,
and order.
I got so much respect for that guy.
All federal crimes are being
definitely gonna have
investigated,
to
prosecuted, and punished to the
reciprocate
fullest
to his
extent of the
community.
law. When the anarchists started ripping down our statues and monuments right outside, I signed an order immediately, 10 years in prison. And it was a miracle. It all stopped. No more statues. They said, that's just too long as they looked at a statue. I think we'll rip it down. Then they said 10 years in prison. I think that's too long. Let's go home. During their convention, Joe Biden and his supporters remained completely silent about the rioters and criminals spreading mayhem in Democrat-run cities. They never even mentioned it during their entire convention. Never once mentioned. Now they're starting to mention it because their poll numbers are going down like a rock in water.
Exactly, yeah. That's what's so fucked up.
It's too late,
It's like they don't
Joe.
care about like.
In the face of left-wing anarchy and mayhem in Minneapolis, Chicago, and other cities, Joe Biden's campaign did not condemn it. They donated to it. At least
Joe
13
Biden
members
is-
of Joe Biden's campaign staff donated
He's
to a
old.
fund to bail out vandals, arsonists, anarchists, looters, and rioters from jail. Here tonight is the grieving family of retired police captain David Dorn, a 38-year veteran of the St. Louis Police Department, a great man and a highly respected man by all. In June, Captain
Why is
Dorn
that guy
was
wearing a
shot and
mask?
killed as he tried to protect the store
Why is that guy wearing a mask?
from
In the
rioters
way-
and looters, or
Yeah,
as the
whatever.
Democrats would
Whatever,
call
I don't
them,
give a fuck.
peaceful protesters. They call them peaceful protesters. We're honored to be joined tonight
Oh man, I
by his
snorted.
wonderful
Sorry.
wife
I
Ann and
snorted for-
beloved
on
family
occasion.
members Brian and Kaylin. To each of you, we will never forget the
Thank you,
heroic
not
legacy
banned
of
account for your
Captain David
donation there, by the
Dorn.
way.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you very
Thursday
much.
night is
Great
just
man.
basically
Great
my fun night. So
As long as I am
So I'm
president, we will
drinking.
defend the absolute right of every American
Every other night of the
citizen
week,
to live in security,
I'm
dignity, and
daddy
peace.
doing daddy
If
duties.
the Democrat Party
Thursdays
wants to
are like my one
stand
night.
with anarchists, agitators, rioters, looters, and flag burners, that is up to them. But I, as your president, will not be a part of it. The Republican Party will remain the voice of the patriotic heroes who keep America safe and salute the American flag.
Yeah, boy. I would die for the American flag, for free America, free capitalist, free market, open America. That's what I would die for.
Last year, over 1,000 African
everybody.
Americans were murdered as
No
a
matter what
result
color.
of violent crime in just 4 Democrat-run cities. The top 10 most dangerous cities in the country
They're all
are
run
run
by
by
Democrats.
Democrats.
That's true.
And have been for many decades.
Right. And it's not just that.
Thousands more African Americans are
Yeah.
victims
Actually,
of
he
violent crime.
cut him
in
slack
these
on that, guys.
communities.
It gets worse.
Joe Biden and the left ignore these
Top
American
10. It's the top
victims.
10, yes,
I
but
never will. If the radical left takes power, they will apply their disaster.
I want to just like, I got to jump on what Trump said there. Top 10 are the worst Democrat, but you know what? There's 2 independent under that, and then it's Democrat again for a while, and then 1 Republican, and then Democrat again. So it's like mostly all of them that are Democrat.
Of American institutions. But who exactly is attacking them? Who is hiring the radical professors, judges, and prosecutors? Who is trying to abolish immigration enforcement and establish speech codes designed to muzzle dissent? In every case, the attacks on American institutions are being waged by radical left.
Yeah.
Always remember, they are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end it on that because I got some stuff I want to do. And
It's been going on from before.
It's going on way longer than I thought it was going to go. All right, guys. Good night. You can find this on the GOP's website. Just search it. Thank you for being here. Good night.
And remember this.
Come back tomorrow night.
They spied
Tomorrow for a new video.
On my
Good night.
campaign, and they got caught. Let's see now what happens. We must reclaim our independence from the left's repressive mandates.
Longer
Americans
than
are
I thought it was
exhausted,
gonna go. All right,
trying
guys.
to keep up with the latest lists of approved words and phrases and the ever more restrictive political decrees. Many things have a different name now, and the rules are constantly changing. The goal of cancel culture is to make decent